Hey friends. I've been having some trouble lately organizing some of my ideas, trying to plan out video concepts and that kind of stuff. And yeah, the last couple of weeks have been a little weird. Mostly because I wanted these thought videos to be more like a brain dump, kind of just talking about what's on my mind. And they kind of started off like that. And over time, I realized that I wanted to put more and more effort into them, and then they started becoming these things that I was researching and doing all this stuff for. And not that that's bad, but it's not exactly my original idea. And it got to a point a couple weeks ago where I wanted to make a thought video, and I recorded it and I didn't like it, and I felt like it wasn't as good as my other ones or the ones just before. You haven't seen it. I probably haven't seen many. I've only been doing this for like a month, or like almost 2 months by the time this video comes out. But yeah, I started noticing that I started putting more effort in my thought videos and the concepts and everything, and that's not exactly the purpose I wanted for that video. And I really like what I started doing, but I also felt like having thought videos that are basically, the thought videos came out in two different ways. There was like the brain dump one, and then there was the thought out, executed with research kind of thing. And I don't think they should be part of the same series anymore. Mostly because it just feels weird having like that huge contrast and that huge difference. I really want there to be consistency in the way I organize my videos, and that's something that I think is something I have to work on. I really like making videos, and I've only been doing YouTube for a really short amount of time, but one thing that I think is super important is to make sure that I don't fall into like a persona, and that my videos are very honest and they reflect like who I am. That's not to say that all the videos I made up until now aren't honest or they don't really reflect me, but I mean they do. They just there are times when I just have thoughts that I want to talk about that aren't exciting and extravagant. And I used to think that YouTube is probably not a space for that, and the internet might not be a space for that. But then I started to think about the age that I live in. Like, I'm a millennial, and I don't know about you guys. Maybe some of you that are my age or older might remember, like, when the internet first started popping up and people started putting themselves on the internet in like MySpace and things like GeoCities and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there was a really big push to like seem cool and like fun and exciting and awesome. But there was also like the honesty of unmarked territory, or uncharted territory, I guess. Like people were imitating things they saw on TV, sure, but there was also a lot of people just being very much themselves. And the idea of like an online persona didn't exist. The equivalency of what old internet was like if somebody on the street randomly pointed a camera at you when you were like 10, and somebody's like, hey, do something cool, and you would just, I don't know, do a dance move or throw up like a peace sign or something. That's pretty much what the internet was in like 2005. And it was like a flash of showiness, sure, but there was a lot of honesty and a lot of just people being themselves. And I don't think that's gone, but I definitely think that on average more people have a persona that they can put on the internet and in public spaces. And I'm no different. It's kind of like the internet now is like almost like a party. when I was in high school and stuff, there were people that were really fun at parties and very different one-on-one. And I feel like that's kind of what the internet is. It's like everyone has a face now for the internet. Everyone has a face for that party. And it's fine. It's fine to have a face. But it's also important to remember that that's part of it. And one of the goals that I have for my YouTube channel that I've always had is to try to be as honest as possible, like brutally honest about who I am and how I am, the things I like, the things I don't like, and to not have like a general persona that is just easily likable or is like specifically is in a specific way. So I think I'm gonna split some of the ideas I had for thought videos and put them into like a review category and then do review videos as well. I always need to crack everything. I don't know if you can hear it, but my shoulders and elbows crack all the time. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do some review videos like I did the Your Lie April one, and then I have other ones lined up that were originally just supposed to be like thought videos. But I'd rather do something more like this, where I just kind of talk about how I feel about something, or how I feel about whatever. And then if there's something that I find very exciting or that I'm very passionate about, then I'm going to do a review video. I really like YouTube. And honestly, I was scared of it for a really long time. I didn't really do it. I always wanted to. And I waited years and years and years to do it. And I had another channel before, and it was really just me uploading things for myself. I've tried, actually, I guess that's a lie. I've tried a few things on YouTube. So I have a bunch of videos that I uploaded on another channel that are just me singing and playing guitar. And then for a short period of time, I uploaded a bunch of poetry to a different channel that I actually completely forgot about until like I found an email address that was signed up to YouTube. And that was surprising. That was maybe 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and I forgot entirely that I made those. And it's a lot of my like silly short poems, and there's like an intro slate and everything. And yeah, it was funny. I almost didn't recognize the person in the camera. I think it'd be cool to upload those. I think it'd be cool to have them on this channel as like a little playlist. But yeah, I think YouTube is great, and I think my goal for YouTube is to just have a way to express my thoughts. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do before with it, and I think that's part of the reason why I never fully invested myself into it. But I do now. I like the idea of having a platform that I can just talk and share my ideas and encourage other people to try new things while I'm trying them myself. I like the idea of getting to know people that way. I realize that there's a lot of people that I feel aligned with who don't know I exist because I watch them on YouTube. And what YouTube offers unlike TV, for example, is that option to actually connect with them. Like, there's comment sections. People who create videos can reply to comments and view them and have conversations. And I guess nowadays TV is not as popular, right? My chair's really creaky. I guess TV is not as popular now. It's more about like streaming services and all that kind of stuff, but a large part of my formative years took place before YouTube existed, before everybody had internet access. I don't know about, maybe some of the kids in my school did, but I didn't have internet access till maybe like the 5th grade. And socializing was very different. It was just a very different experience getting to know people, and everybody on a screen was untouchable. Like, the idea of celebrities, they were other things. They weren't people. And now it's really interesting because anybody can become a celebrity. And it does level the playing field quite a bit. Now, obviously, there's still like those superstars, you know. But, you know, they're just other people now. And that kind of realization where only the people that had access to cameras or could be in front of cameras could be famous is sort of gone. Because while that's still kind of true, it's not gone, but who has cameras and who can put themselves out there is now everyone. Everybody with a smartphone can do it. And it's wild. It's really cool. And like, that's not to say that like I want to be a celebrity. But I would be lying if I said that it's not a nice idea thinking that people would want to watch me and want to take part in my life and the things that I'm doing. But I think ultimately it's just so cool to see that change. And as a millennial, I was too afraid to be on the forefront of it. I think it's really cool seeing just how different like 15-year-old kids are with the internet than I am. And I don't think I'm old at all. I think I'm older than these kids on the internet, but it's just seeing how they're just like coming into it and just being online and just being themselves in a way. It's like so cool. You know, I think I constantly have to remind myself that new platforms that come out and new things on the internet that come out are going to be grabbed by new people. And I can either think it's stupid or I can watch it and think it's cool and figure out its true value. Like TikTok. I used to think, before I knew what TikTok was, I thought it was stupid. And when I first got TikTok, I thought, okay, there's just a bunch of kids dancing, and as somebody who used to dance myself, I wasn't that impressed with these dance moves, no offense. But as I started to realize, there's actually like whole other sides to TikTok, and there's just like really great people on there. Like Hank Green is on TikTok, and he's got a bunch of followers. Like, he puts his media out there, which is great. And then you got like really, really funny people. There are some really good like people on TikTok that are just hilarious. And then there's like science and stuff, and it's a really interesting medium that once you get past the initial surface, it's mind-blowing. And I think YouTube is the same way. I think you have people that everybody knows are like huge famous people like Mr. Beast and David Dobrik and some other names like PewDiePie and stuff. But once you start watching even some of their stuff, but once you get past that and start actually like digging into what's available on YouTube, it's like a constant surprise. And you get to know so many people, and it's cool. That is cool. The internet is really cool. I think that I'm really glad I started making YouTube videos. And I've only been doing it for about a month and a half now. And I don't want to stop. I just really need to organize my ideas, because I have a lot of ideas. I want to do a lot of things, and I've wanted to do a lot of things with film and like making short films and just doing stuff with a camera, and I never put one in my hands, and I never took that step, and I'm tired of letting myself get in the way. The video that's coming out next week is a conversation with me and Ryan, a good friend of mine, about creativity. And it's super cut. I've cut a lot out to specifically talk about how to be more creative. And I'm going to upload the whole conversation as well. It's about an hour long. But there's one part at the end of the conversation where Ryan starts asking me questions. And I didn't include it in the video that's coming out next week in the cut version, but in the full conversation that's also coming out next week, it'll be there. More cracks, sorry. It'll be there. But there's one thing that he asked me that I hadn't really considered, and I think it's really good. I think it's a really good question. So the conversation we had was that what he asked me was if I feel a difference between creating videos and writing and doing poetry and like making music and just doing creative things in different ways. Because I also make a podcast, and I make all the music for that podcast. I write poetry, I'm working on a book, like I'm doing all these things, and honestly I feel stuck in a lot of them. So he asked me this, and I said that it's way easier to make videos, and it's way easier to make podcasts than it is for me to write poetry or continue writing my book, or sometimes even make the music. And I realized in the conversation while we were having it that it's easier because like YouTube videos that I make are me trying new things. They're not things that I'm an expert in. They're not things that I'm well versed in sometimes. It's just me trying new things that I've wanted to try, or getting into things that I've just started getting into and that I want to share. And the podcast, well, hold on, let's talk about the YouTube videos. Finish talking about the YouTube videos. So it's kind of like I give myself permission, because I know I'm new at it, to just make it and just do it. Like this video. This is not scripted. I wrote down some ideas, but I'm way past those ideas now. I didn't think I was going to talk about the things I talked about, but yeah, so making the YouTube videos, just knowing that going into the YouTube videos that I'm doing something that I don't know, and that I'm making it a point that I don't know it, is freeing. And the podcasts, I said that I had an idea for a podcast before that was supposed to be inspiring and help people to like become better people, and just yeah, it was like supposed to be basically like a self-help podcast, and I couldn't wrap my head around how I would do it. So instead, the podcast is called Things in My House. My podcast is called Things in My House, and the podcast I made is entirely stupid. Like, the whole point of that podcast is that it makes no sense, that it's for fun. So, as a result, I'm able to make the episodes really quickly. The part that takes the longest is making the song. Because I don't know my software well enough, and I don't play the piano. I have a little keyboard, but like I don't actually play the piano, so I'm literally just mashing keys until I hear something I like, and then I write the song. And then actually recording the podcast, like the voiceover part, takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending. And then I just cut out what I don't like, or cut out the empty space, and that's it. Making the podcast is super easy, and I can do it consistently. And I can do it consistently because I'm not attached to like its own importance. It's not important. Like, it's important, and I enjoy it, and I really appreciate the people that listen to it. But the point of it, I've taken the weight out of the point of the podcast. I've taken the weight out of success in the podcast and the YouTube videos. So making them is for me, sort of. It's for the audience, it's for you guys, it's for the people who listen to my podcast. But I don't have expectations for it. And I think that's what makes it easy. So my poetry and my writing, for example, I have a book that I want to write, and I have a whole solid idea in my head about what it should be like. But when I get down to it, every time I write down more and more lines and add complexities, I don't like it, and it's hard. And the same with my poetry. I write a poem, I sit down to write a poem, and I think, I'm going to submit this poem to like a poetry magazine or a periodical or something. And I sit down with that intention, and I can't write the poem. And some of the best stuff I've ever written was just garble. It was just brain dump stuff. So I think I have to treat a lot of the work I do as... Sorry, somebody's walking outside. I don't know if you can hear that, but I think I have to treat everything that I do as just, like, you know, for no real purpose. Or I guess, like, I gotta take the weight out of everything if I'm gonna do it. It makes it easier. Yeah. That's it. Thanks for watching.